If you want to build a gaming PC and it's your first time, because you are afraid you're going to mess it up, this video is actually made for you. In this video, I'm going to be helping a friend craft a gaming PC, and I'm going to figure out what's wrong with his gaming PC that he wants to build. I'm going to figure out which part is good and which part is not good. That way, he will be sure when he builds his first gaming PC. And if you're interested in any of these parts that I'm going to mention in this video, I've dropped my affiliate links in the description down below. That way, if you buy those parts, I can get a little bit of cash. Now, on with the video. So here is our friend's build right here. So I'm gonna start off by seeing the CPU and GPU combo, because the CPU and GPU combo is something that I'm actually excited about right now, because this guy did very well for CPU and GPU combo. For GPU, you have the RX 6600, the 8GB version for around $284. Well, this GPU right now is basically kind of like very expensive, because the RX 6600 is basically around $200 or maybe $190 at some point, but I'm kind of like surprised why it's basically too much expensive right now. I'm kind of confused. Let me know in the comment section down below. Now for the CPU, you went with the Ryzen 5 5600, a very excellent CPU to pair with the RX 6600. This combination kind of like complements each other when it comes to gaming, video editing, or streaming, even though AMD is not perfect for streaming and video editing, but this is a very good combo. Now for the motherboard, you went with Asus Prime B550 Wi-Fi 2 Micro ATX motherboard AM4, obviously. Now this is a very excellent motherboard that you went with. It's very fantastic. I have no complaint whatsoever, and this motherboard supports Ryzen 5 5600 out of the box without the need of BIOS update. At the beginning of the year, or maybe somewhere in the middle of the year, motherboards tends to be expensive. Actually, every PC part tends to be expensive, but when it comes to the end of the year, they drop their prices a lot. I'm gonna tell you in a little bit why I like this motherboard. And for the RAM, you went with the G-Skill Trident Z RGB 32GB 2x16GB DDR4 RAM running at 3200 MHz with CL timing of 16. The price is no longer available, but it's basically because it's out of stock right now, but it used to be around $85 at the time of recording this video. Now I gotta say, this is a very good looking set of RAM sticks, but they're kind of like expensive. Why do I think it's expensive? Because it's DDR4 and they run at 3200 MHz, and CL timing of 16 is kind of like understandable, but at this price range you can get a DDR5 memory with the same size 32GB as well at around $82 or $81, and DDR5 is better than DDR4, so I'm kind of like understand why this one is kind of like this expensive. And for storage, you went with Team Group 1TB PCIe Gen 3 NVMe. Now this NVMe is PCIe Gen 3, as our motherboard supports PCIe Gen 4 and Gen 3, but I would recommend that you go with Gen 4, because Gen 4 is basically the same price as Gen 3 right now at the time of recording this video. Now this Gen 3 is $57 at the time of recording this video, and you can also go ahead and buy it at Newegg. At Newegg you can get 32GB memory card, so I would buy it Newegg at some point. For the case, you went with my favorite case right now. This is the Montech XR Mesh. This case comes with 6 RGB fans. These 3 ones here on the front are 140mm fans, and these 3 ones here, 2 at the top and 1 in the back, is 120mm fan. Now I kind of like think this is basically the perfect case you should go with. This is a very fantastic case. Now this case used to go around $65 on Newegg, but right now it's out of stock, so you can only find it on Amazon at around $75 or $76 at the time of recording this video. For the power supply, you went with something that most people don't even like, but I like this power supply a lot. It's good for budget builders. This is the Thermaltake Smart 600W 80+ certified ATX power supply. This power supply right now is at $41 on Amazon and also on Newegg. Newegg is basically kind of like a little bit expensive, going at $1 extra compared to Amazon. And you went a little bit overkill, because as you can see, your estimated wattage will be around 300 watts. 450 watts would be perfect, but I think maybe you were looking for future proofing, which you did a very good job at the same time. Now our friend right here was trying to go with $800 for his budget, but as you can see, $698.16 is basically because this memory right now is not available anymore. That's why prices went a little bit off. So here is my build. As you can see in my build, my total was $801.64. I went a little bit over budget, but at some point prices adjust, and when I made this list, the price was around $794 at some point. So as you can see, I swapped out some things, but some things I didn't quite remove because I kind of like your build. So I'm gonna start with the GPU. For the GPU, I went with the RX 7600, a 8GB GPU. This one is the SFX Speedster Swift 210. It's a very good 1080p GPU. GPU. It's better than the 6600. The 7600 is basically around 10% faster or maybe 11% faster than the 6600. So I think the 7600 is basically something you should go with. But if you want to go NVIDIA, I think you should go with something like the 4060. But most people don't really like the 4060, but I think it's a good GPU anyway. But you can go with the 4060 or the RTX 3060. But the 3060 is basically hard to find it brand new. It's basically expensive brand new. So yeah, our GPU costs around $319 on Newegg sellers. Basically kind of like expensive. I wouldn't recommend that you go ahead and buy it on Amazon. You can wait for the price to drop a little bit, and you can also find this GPU at used markets like Facebook Markets, Java, Newegg. So yeah, this is the kind of GPU that I would prefer that you get if you have a budget of $800 and you are looking for new parts. For the CPU, I still went with the same CPU as you went with, the Ryzen 5 5600, a 6-core 12-threaded CPU. This CPU right now is at $127 at the time of recording this video. This CPU is often compared with an i5 12400F, but I think this CPU is actually better than the 12400F basically because, well, it's faster than the 12400F when it comes to performance, but I also think the i5 12400F is actually a good CPU because that CPU is basically around $109 at the time of recording this video. So yeah, I would still recommend an i5 12400F even though most people don't even like it when I recommend Intel CPUs in my videos. Some people actually prefer Intel and some people don't even know AMD exists. Some people actually prefer AMD and some people don't even want to see AMD. They prefer Intel. They are die-hard Intel fans. So that's why I recommend these CPUs, because these videos are not meant for me. They're meant for people who don't know much so that I can help them out. So for the motherboard, we're not going to change the motherboard. We're going to go with the Asus Prime B550MA Wi-Fi 2, a micro ATX motherboard for around $114 or somewhere around there. It's basically kind of like cheaper on Amazon at the time of recording this video. Another thing that I would say that I like about this motherboard is that it has two M.2 slots, and this one here at the top is PCIe Gen 4. As you might know, this one here at the bottom is PCIe Gen 3. So the Ryzen 5 5600 supports PCIe Gen 4. So if you have a PCIe Gen 4 dedicated motherboard, of course I'm talking about the M.2 or the GPU, this CPU is actually perfect for this motherboard basically because you can run all those parts at full speed. So that is why I like this motherboard. This motherboard is actually perfect for the 5600. So for the RAM, we're gonna go with G-Skill Ripjaws. We're not gonna go with the RGB ones because the RGB ones, they're out of stock and they are basically kind of like expensive. So this is the G-Skill Ripjaws 32GB 2x16GB DDR4 RAM running at 3600 MHz with CL timing of 16 for $68. Now as you can see, this one is basically cheaper and way faster than the previous RAMs that you went with. The Trident RAMs were very horrible. This one is 3600 MHz and that one was 3200 MHz, which is very interesting. If you kind of like look at it, you can lose a lot of gaming performance when it comes to these kind of things if you're not paying attention. For storage, we're gonna go with the Clef Cross 1TB Gen 4 NVMe for around $57. Now this is a very good M.2, I'm not gonna lie. As you can see that this M.2 is basically the same price as the PCIe Gen 3 M.2 from Team Group that you actually recommended in your build. Well, actually they're basically the same price, and this one is Gen 4. It's way faster and way better. And for the case, like I said, I have no problem with that case you went with. We went with the Montech X3 Mesh ATX mid-tower case. This is a very fantastic case. I can't compliment it any further. 6 RGB fans. And remember, this is not ARGB, it's RGB fans. ARGB and RGB fans are not basically the same. ARGB means that you can actually change the color of these fans by simply hitting the reset button. For the power supply, we're gonna go with the Thermaltake 600 watt 80 plus certified ATX power supply for $41. This is the same power supply you went with. I also went with this power supply. It's basically a good power supply, even though people might not like it, but there are no bad reviews of this power supply. This power supply is actually perfect for this kind of build. Now if you want me to help you build your first gaming PC, let me know in the comment section and send me your PC part picker list. That way I can actually communicate with you and then I can help you out for free. Now if you like these kind of videos, let me know in the comment section as well. That way I can actually make some videos that you actually like. So see you in the next video.